Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Nihal. Let's discuss another important Web API interview question. What is routing in Web API and how it is configured? Routing is the process of mapping an incoming HTTP request to a specific controller, action, or method. In simple words, when a client sends a request, routing helps the API to identify which controller and which action method should handle the request. For example, if a request comes to API/employee/101, routing determine exactly where the request should go and which code should execute. Without routing, the API would not know which controller to call, which action method to execute, and how to process the request. That is why routing is one of the core component of the web API. Routing also help to organize API properly, create clean and meaningful URLs, support RESTful architecture, handle HTTP method correctly. Now let's look at the different types of routing available in the ASP.NET Web API. There are mainly two types. First one is a conventional base routing. In convention based routing, routes are defined centrally in one place, usually in the program.cs file or startup file. The common route pattern look like API, controller, action, and ID. So when request arrive, HTTP ASP.NET automatically matches the URL with the route pattern and then identify the appropriate controller and action method. The advantage of this approach is that it's a simple and easy to manage for small and medium-sized application. However, it's provide less flexibility when API become large. Second, we have attribute routing. Attribute routing is the most commonly used approach in modern application. In this approach, routes are defined directly on controller and action method using the attribute. For example, uh, we have route API and controller name we need to provide. So in this example, it should be like API/employee because here employee is the controller name. Or we can define on the method itself. So here you can see for this get method, we have defined attribute routing like HTTP get, and this is the ID which we are receiving as a parameter. So this make routing more readable and easier to understand because route is visible right where the action method is defined. So attribute routing also provides better flexibility, uh, cleaner API design, easier API versioning, and better control over URLs. That is why attribute routing is generally preferred in a modern ASP.NET Web API application. One important interview point to remember is convention-based routing use centralized route configuration, while attribute routing define routes directly on controller and action. In real-world project, attribute routing is used more frequently because it offers better flexibility and maintainability. That's all for this video. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in next Web API interview question. Thank you.